A Samsung LE37C530. Problem with it is it's dead. The standby light will come on for a second and then nothing after that. No response from the touch buttons on the front of the bezel. They normally give a noise as you touch them, but as far as I remember, you can disable that tone as well in the menu, so that might not be a clue. So let's see, can we see the light coming on? And it's down here. Light comes on, and then it goes off, then nothing. And by touching these buttons I should be able to get some kind of response. At least the one I have a version of this in the house as well. It's an old type, so it'll be interesting to have a quick look at. I have the cover off the inverter board there. I've checked that to see if there are any burnt out components, open circuit fusible resistors or anything like that. I've checked these transformers, just done a few quick measurements and they all seem okay. So I'm just going to do a check now on the voltages here on these pins on this. There is markings down here on the board that will tell you what each pin is, but I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up. I'm going to go in a little bit closer. Sorry about that. You might be able to pick them up at that, and we'll see. The first two pins on this top row here from the front should be 12 volts, and the third one then should be 5 volts. So we're getting 12 here on the first one, 12 on the second one, and on the third we're getting 0.3, which should be 5 volts. Now if I plug that out, if I can reach in, stands here, push it back in, we don't get anything there on that line. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to short out to take this board out of standby, because it's not under the control of the actual main control board. I have to take it out of standby somewhere, so I'm going to short out the power supply onto the 5 volt line. I've shorted out the PS on pin to the 5 volt line. This is the always 5 volt line. This should be enough to take it out of standby. The power supply type we have I'm working on is BN44-00339B. Unit is plugged in, short is in place. I'm just going to check those voltages again. 12.3, 12.3, no change there. And we still got 0.3 of a volt here on this. Okay, so we have something wrong off the 5 volt, the switched 5 volt line. Okay. We have a MOSFET here. Here is my always 5 volt line here, and it's going through this MOSFET, which turns this line here into a switched 5 volt line, and I'm getting 0 volts on one side of that MOSFET. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to short out one side to the other, and I'm going to see, do I get a reaction out of the television? As you know from the beginning of the video, there was no reaction. You got a little bit of a light on the standby, and that was it. You heard no sound or tones like you normally get from Samsung as the switch on. I might get in the way of the camera soldering this. Just a normal jumper wire. It's not going to do any harm, I hope. Just put one screw in to hold it in place, stop it from doing anything. We should have our 5 volts there now. Yes, and it's 5.25 volts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug back in the control wire and see what happens with this. I have the unit plugged out, plugged in. Now I didn't take off the 2 wires. Well, that's good. For a start, we heard the just put a second one of them in there for safety. Want to see have we got any form of backlight or any information on the screen. Oh, look at that. Don't know if you're getting it or not. Let's zoom out. There is, I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm going to have to bring down the camera possibly. We're getting something there. We're getting the video information, we're getting all of it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to order another one of those MOSFETs somewhere, or an equivalent. I could leave it as it is and it will probably work fine. I don't know, probably would. But we'll see. We'll fix it correctly. This is the schematic of the BN44-00339B in the Samsung LE37C530, I think. And the area we were having an issue with was up here in this top right hand corner here. Let me just zoom in a little bit, get a little bit closer. Okay, alright. We can see what's happening here. Your main standby transformer, your rectifier for rectifying the voltage from this. Our standby 5 volts will be here at pin 2 of the diode. It's a 3-legged diode. It stands upright. If you look at it, you would think it was a transistor. And we have our always 5 volts here along this line, and that goes down to the main control board, video processing board, whatever you want to call it. And then we also have a switched 5 volts goes down to that control board as well. This MOSFET is controlled here by this gate voltage, what appears on this gate voltage. That goes high, this switches on. And the problem we had with it was this was switched on, but there was no voltage here at this point. But we had our 5 volts here. I then put a link between this point and this point, and then the TV worked. Be it probably might have had issues with power consumption in standby or some kind of a noise coming from it. I don't know. I didn't test it out to see what would happen. The system control board controls this MOSFET not directly. It actually powers on the this part of the power supply down here. You got your 24 volt supply over here, and you also got a 12 volt supply that switches on under the control of the microprocessor. And where that does that from is you got pin 18 of CN802 comes over here, and if you look at it, it branches down, goes over here, and we got a transistor here under the control of this. This is an optocoupler,
has to be isolated, and we got an arrangement here with this transistor here. QS801 goes down here, and it would activate this control chip here to switch on this power supply. This schematic is readily available on the internet. Yeah, just Google it with a type BN44-00339B, and you'll find it no problem. You'll be able to download it. Art finally arrived. I got myself a couple of MOSFETs. Let's see, are they the same type? Will they fit physically? Look similar. And so you can zoom in that view. Get to the center so you can focus it properly. Okay. Look very similar. So how am I going to remove this? Am I going to use hot air, or will I use just a normal standard soldering iron just to take it out? Hot air probably would be the most impressive, but let's see. And that's number one there, the top right hand side. Okay, let's put a mark on it. If I have a marker, and put a little black dab there. That's where my number one is. And let's see, can we do this the old way before we had hot air guns and the like? Okay, plenty of solder. And off she comes. You have to be patient with, because as you can see there's glue underneath it as well. That way I don't torture the board. Okay. Right. Give it a little bit of clean up. I'll give it another clean up as soon as I'm finished soldering in. And obviously you can see we have some old glue that held in the device. Okay, as you can see, we have a little spot here in the top right hand corner. We'll just give it a bit of solder. It's a bit crooked. Oh, will I refloat? Try to save myself from heating it up. Okay, that's it in. I'm just going to check it underneath the microscope and see what the solder is like. Okay, I checked the solder. I had to go over it with the hot air gun to get it straight. It was a bit crooked, and to push it down. So I think the hot air method is better, but the other will get you out.
I have the power supply hooked up and connected, and I'm just going to plug it in and let's wait for it. Just go for the third pin. Well, that sounds good. And we have our, let me see if we're getting that. And that's coming and going there because this little 5.24 volts there now at the moment. And if I put it in the standby, it should go to 0 volts. So you can do this. And shutting down. And down to 0 volts. That's what I wanted to do. Back up. So there you are, an N-type MOSFET that was causing the problem. Let's see, can we reposition this so you can see what's going on. As you can see, the unit's back up working, and it doesn't have any input into it, and pressing the menu button should get something. As you can see, there's our menus, and I'd have to put a HDMI source input into it to be able to see what kind of picture there's on it. That'd be the next thing to do. I have a picture. I have it connected through the HDMI port using a Freeview box, and I will possibly have to blur out the picture due to copyright. I might get a copyright strike on my video. Also, if you noticed in the video when I powered it up, you seen the lights come up with the connector disconnected. Those power supplies will power up the inverter and backlights without a control board, and it's not a problem. It's actually a good way of testing your inverter if you're having no backlights. By just disconnecting the main signal board from the power supply, it actually lights up the backlights as a good way of checking. I hope that helps someone out there that has a Samsung LE37C530, I think, for repair, at least to be able to isolate it down to the power supply at least. Thanks for watching.